Primo Victoria. Dun, da, 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 da. Yeah, we did that. We got the Primo Victoria for you. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I've got two replays for you in the STRV 81, the Primo Victoria. It's just got to be done. When Sabaton is in the room, it's just got to be done, okay? So this is a tank that you are getting for free pretty much if you get 350 odd points with the new Sabaton collaboration that they've done, because obviously they released the Spirit of War, and then there's the new commanders for Sabaton, which you're hearing with the crew voices in this replay. And this is the original Sabaton collaboration. It's the Primo Victoria. It is the skinned version of the STRV 81 Swedish premium medium tank, which is a Centurion for the Swedes. And, well, what's the differences for the Primo Victoria compared to other medium tanks that are Centurions? Well, number one, it gets 2 rounds of APCR, so you actually have really good shell velocity on your standard APCR rounds. You've got 1300 on them, which is great. And in terms of the engine power, I believe the engine power is just that little bit worse than other Centurions, which means you're a little bit slower, and just a little bit more sluggish, essentially. But you do have that exceptionally bouncy turret, and like I say, your gun is really nice, and your DPM is pretty decent as well. On the whole, the Primo Victoria is a pretty damn nice tank. If you've played Centurions, you are going to know exactly what you're getting from the Primo Victoria, because all Centurions play exactly the same. If they're caught out in the open, they get trashed. If you get them into positions like you're seeing right in front of your faces, they are going to have a great time. Pretty much no matter what tier they're facing. I mean, obviously, if you're facing tier 9 and 10s and they're firing premium, there's a chance they could go through your turret, for sure. But if you're if you're wiggling and bouncing up and down on the ridgeline, you're making it as hard as possible for them to pen your turret, you're going to have a great time just like in any other Centurion. And again, you have a pretty damn nice gun, and on the whole, the Primo Victoria is just a pretty damn decent Centurion. It's a Centurion. It's just what you get. Centurions are that sort of consistent reliability in what you get from them, right? Good guns, pretty solid DPM, and then bouncy turrets, and pretty, decent mobility too. So it's just on the whole, they're pretty decent tanks, Centurions, and they've all been buffed in different ways fairly recently too. So what do I run in terms of a crew on the old Primo Victoria? Well, I do run a crew that's more akin to a heavy tank crew. I run Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Track Mechanic, Steady Aim, Snapshot, Run and Gun, Off-Road Driving. I say this tank can be a little bit more sluggish than some of the other Centurion counterparts, so I just try and help it out as much as I can with the ground resistances. All the gun perks, because I don't run vertical stabilizers, so I just want to make sure that the gun is as good as humanly possible. I don't really need the vert stabs at that point. And then all the other perks, because they're just what you're always going to take, generally. In terms of equipment, I run the Advanced Loader, the Powertrain, and Optics. Optics to be able to make my view range absolutely fantastic. The Powertrain, because like I say, it's just a little bit more sluggish, so I add on, I think it gains an extra 1 horsepower per ton, which is really quite nice. And it just helps you that little bit. It's not significant, but it does help you a decent amount, right? It's just down to you, really, because you could run without powertrain if you want to run a traction system or run vertical stabilizers. It's completely your personal preference. And then the Optics, like I say, gets me 512 view range, which makes my view range fantastic, and I'll spot so many tanks with that and get really good good assistance, on a fair few maps. And Advanced Load to make my DPM as good as humanly possible. So, as you can see, we're in the first game. The first game on this map, which is Pearl River, we're up to 3k damage with 638 assistance. We're just trying to murder the artillery. I'm like, please, Artie, don't do it. Oh, he did it. And we managed to get the kill with a little bit of a ram there, securing our 4th kill of the game. And actually, that was a Pascucci's, right? Because we got the other guy too. Pascucci's, always a good time. And we're just waiting to get unspotted, because we know there was something that was shooting at us from E8, so we don't want to give them the chance to shoot us. So we poke out, we don't get spotted, but we're not going to turn down the opportunity to shoot at the Nomad. And unfortunately, 187? What a roll. And then the SMV-CC67 shoots us, and I didn't quite really grasp that he fired HE at me. So that first shell that hit me for like 130, and I thought, oh god, he penned me. That's really annoying. Now I'm a one-shot. Yeah, I didn't grasp the fact that he fired HE. I do now because he hit my gun and only did HE damage. Well, he just didn't do anything. But now we're unspotted. I'm like, okay, they know where I am in that position. I can't do that anymore. My friend died. There's the Nomad and the SMV CC67. I can't stay in that position. So we're going to flank round and get to as close to the next hill as we can, this one over here near the cap, because then possibly we'll be able to push up to that ridge line towards their base, and we'll be able to spot the SMV and start shooting it. But as we're crossing, we do notice the Nomad, which I shoot the moment I think, okay, I can get into cover and be safe. We managed to get a shot in to shut down the Nomad, but unfortunately he just gets a shot in. How unfortunate. He just gets the shot in, which puts us down to a one-shot even for the splash of the SMV CC67. And we're up to 4.3k damage, 638 assistance. I'm thinking, I do want that top gun. But that SMV only has to splash me, and I'm pretty sure he was on a two-shot for me. But we are pushing closer to the ridge to see if we can see him and not get shot by him. But he's actually run the other way, straight head-on into an artillery in a weird position. And unfortunately for me, the artillery ends up shutting him down. So we do finish with the victory. 5 kills, 4.3k damage, 638 assistance. The ace tanker, the Pascucci's, the high caliber. 2054 base XP, a really nice game in the Primo Victoria, which, let's say, it's just an absolutely solid Centurion. It does, you know, Centurions do what Centurions do, and they do it pretty consistently, which is always great. It's got 226 pen on its standard APCR rounds. It's got 250 pen on it, or 258 pen on its premium APCR. 230 alpha, which is a little bit low, especially when you end up bottom tier, because obviously things are starting to hit for a lot more damage, so your trades don't quite work as much. Your reload you get down to, with the setup I've got, 5.1 second reload, which is really nice. 0.25 accuracy is fine, and you're not running vertical stabilizers, and the accuracy during rotation at 1.21 isn't that good. This is where I say maybe vertical stabilizers instead of the powertrain. It's completely down to you, because the powertrain does only net you, what, 52 kilometers an hour instead of 50, something like that. So it's down to you how you want to set up your tank. My way is never the best way. It's always how I prefer the tank. How you prefer the tank will be different. And you do get 1.21 accuracy during rotation with this setup, which is pretty poor, realistically. You want that below 1, and if you run vertical stabilizers, you will get that below 1. And your accuracy during movement is 1.86, which actually isn't that bad. But again, you can knock that down even more with vertical stabilizers. So you could maximise your gun performance for sure with vertical stabilizers. There is a massive argument for taking them. It's just down to you and how you want to set up. And the aim time is one of those things that is very, very nice about the Primo Victoria. 1.93 second aim time with this setup that I have, which is brilliant, which means that it doesn't take too long to get the gun aimed in. Which is why I'm not that horrendously bothered about the bloom, because the gun just gets aimed in quickly anyway. So as you can see, we're on this map, which is Malinovka, and on Mali, we've come to the hill, because this is a perfect spot for going hull down. As you can see, we've caught out the enemy team as they are coming up the hill. Unfortunately, we ricochet off the VZ44-1's hull. We load APCR because we're ready for the IS-6 Black, because the IS-6 Black with 226 pen is going to be exceptionally awkward to pen. But if we load the premium rounds for 258, not too much of a problem. We're starting to back up now because that IS-6 has penders, and they've come to the threshold where we've lost our hull downiness. Yeah, that's a word. That's a word I've created. Hull downiness, yes. So we've lost our hull downiness here, so we've pulled back to keep ourselves in a safer position so that we're not just needlessly bleeding hit points. And unfortunately, we are just keep ricocheting off this IS-6. We did get one into his cupola a minute ago. Ricochet off his upper plate. This is where the APCR with the angles of the IS-6 are starting to backfire a little bit. We try and get a shot into the cupola there of the bog horror, but it just doesn't go in. And again, looking for that cupola of the IS-6, which we get the shot straight in, which is always lovely. Like I say, this gun is pretty damn accurate, and when it wants to hit those things, it's pretty good. Except for when you shoot at the cupola of a bog horror, clearly. But now we're going to start side-scraping off of the windmill to see if we can try and not take any hits from the IS-6 and the VZ. We get a shot through the lower plate there of the IS-6. Again, side scraping off of this windmill, which is giving very little target for these guys to hit. As you saw, the VZ-44-1 hit the windmill and not us. This tank can side scrape. Is it the best at side scraping? No. But if you're giving the enemy team as little a target as possible, or as small a target to hit as possible, you're maximizing the... Well, you're limiting their ability to pen you and maximizing the amount of HP you're going to have because you're not getting penned. So we changed targets from the VZ and the Bog Horror because we noticed this KV-3's been very aggressive and was pushing over to attack our heavies. If we can get guns out the game, that is fantastic, and we do manage to get that KV-3, sorry, out of the game. We're on to 2.6k damage, 220 assistance. Looking for a shot into the cupola there at the VZ-44-1, but unfortunately we just end up missing his cupola. We're just seeing the tippy top of it, which I'm not sure we can pen if we do have the tippy top of it. But the Bog Horror makes a big mistake there. The Bog Horror actually pushed up and tried to attack my heavies, which gave me the ability to shoot him in the side. Now we can go hull down against this VZ-44-1, and the VZ-44-1 does have that pretty prominent cupola, which we can try and get shots into. Unfortunately, we end up missing it. It flies over again. Sad times. We do take a big hit from the WZ-121 GFT at the back, which we have to be careful of because I don't want to get put down to a one-shot at this point. The Paladin ends up giving us some side shots, but unfortunately we ricochet off his turret there instead of hitting his side. That WZ-121 GFT is doing a good thing right now. He's keeping himself pretty hulled down, keeping himself in a position which is pretty awkward for us to shoot. That Paladin is giving us a shot, so we go for the shot straight through his lower plate. He ends up clearly aiming at my friend to my left, and he just drives out. So we shoot him in the side, damage his ammo rack, which is a good time. We're going to aim to try and hit him in the same spot so we could blow it. Doesn't happen, but we put him down to a one-shot, so hopefully we get to finish him off, and of course RNG says, nope, not today, you can't have that kill, and he ends up getting shut down by the Skoda T56. We're up to 3.8k damage. There's 4 tanks left on the enemy team. Now that 121 GFT is fired, it is time to move forward. I was never going to move off the hill until that 121 GFT had fired, because once he's fired, I can push very aggressively, very quickly into a position of safety underneath his gun, where he will now only be able to see my turret. We have a quick look to see what the enemy team is left, because there's a few TDs. I'm thinking, okay, is there anything behind this WZ-121 GFT, or are they all in their base? For saying where we are, and we're not getting detected, I'm pretty sure there's nothing there. So we managed to get some shots into the lower plate of this WZ-121 GFT. He gets shut down, and now there is 3 tanks left. We know there's a Sturm Tiger P, probably back at about K7-ish, because he did shut down one of my allies, which is not a good time. We know the medium tank spotted at K2. So what we're going to do is push down a little bit aggressively into the dip. We don't really spot anything towards the cap along the K0 line. So what instead I'm going to do is push as fast and as furious as I can straight towards the hill directly in front of me at F7. Because that way we can get hull down and again keep ourselves safe. But unfortunately we do spot the Sturm Tiger P, and we are trying to get a shot in to shut him down, but unfortunately it's just not going in. We aim this shot this time and it just misses again. The ISU ends up missing us, thankfully, and gets spotted. We shut him down. The Sturm Tiger P gets shut down by our ISU, which means there's only 1 tank left on the enemy team. It is the medium tank at J3. It is this Barask. So we're going to go in and try and get this Barask, because this Barask is never going to hit us twice on the move, right? No! Never. He can't hit us twice on the move. He's got a derpy gun. He's going, you wanna bet? So we're going to try and get in there, and just because this is the last tank of the live, we're just going to, and we've got hit points at least to make sure that we can take a hit from him, we're just going to get in there and try and shoot him. Unfortunately, the first shot misses. The second shot only tracks him. He did manage to pen us with 1, but he missed us with the second, and we just don't get any more shots into him, which is really unfortunate, but it is what it is. And we finished the game with the victory. 3 kills, 4.4k damage, 565 assistance, the ace tanker, the steel wall, the high caliber, and the Confederate, the 1987 base XP. Another pretty damn nice game for a Primo Victoria. 2 pretty damn nice games for it, in pretty good matchmaking to be fair, but it's a Centurion. If you've played Centurions before, if you played the Centurion one in the tech tree, you'll know exactly how this tank handles, pretty much. So yeah, you get the Primo Victoria for 350 points. So as always everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time. I really hope that the perfect rendition of Primo Victoria doesn't get me copyright striked.
a great success.